It turns out that this is a real thing, and one of the first places that you're going to see signs of a recession happening is in a spicy club. I feel like as a dollar tripper, I'm perfectly qualified to talk about this, so let's talk about different signs of a recession that I've noticed in the last year. The biggest and most noticeable one for me is that there's more dancers than customers. There's way
All right, people, we're going to hear from this bartender and more today to tell us, is there a recession? I can't believe I've never heard from or talked about what bartenders are saying, but she makes some pretty good points. We're going to hear from her and a lot of other people, some individuals predicting prices coming down. Yes, deflation, major deflation, and a lot more today. We're going to get into some current news as well. Please make sure you subscribe. My name is JJ. You're watching Bull Boom Bear Bust. Thank you for being here. Let's go ahead and get right into it, folks. First, though, before we get to the bartender, let's hear from a couple people that are giving us their insights and their takes on what's happening right now economically, financially. Is a recession here? Is one headed this way? Let's go ahead and take a look here, starting right here. Right, let's go right here, folks. This is a screen name Team E287. Let me make sure I got that right. Sorry, it's actually Team E278. And he's talking about prices are coming down or soon to come down, and that there's going to be deflation. Take a listen here.
Everything's about to get cheaper. Fuel prices, food prices. You're going to see lumber prices drop here pretty soon. What most people don't understand is where inflation actually comes from. A lot of us want to blame it on big banks. We want to blame it on greed. The truth of it is inflation comes from big government spending.
Thank you. Big government spending. For some reason, every time I get to the middle of this video, it just keeps freezing. So I'm just going to kind of paraphrase what he's saying here. And you've heard it here probably 100, maybe 1,000 times. Government spending, folks. Big spending, stimulus packages. Different terms have been given to big spending. Helicopter money, flooding the economy with money. Easy money, right? So many different terms that describe what led to this inflation. And a lot of it was put out there to help people. And sure, it helped people temporarily. The stimulus checks help people. Paycheck protection loans help businesses stay open. The thing about those assistance programs, though, is they got people dependent. They got people dependent on the assistance. So then when the assistance ran out, like the loans right now, right? People didn't have to pay back certain loans for years. But then when it resumed, when people had to pay them back, they weren't used to it. They got used to the training wheels. And the training wheels were taken off. Now they're tipping over on their little bikes. Because people got used to the helping hand, so to speak. So I think what he's saying is correct. So he seems to predict that there's going to be much less spending coming from the top down, and therefore there's going to be deflation. We've talked about it here again many times. Deflation ultimately is good. It just means lower prices, lower cost of living. Just ask anyone that bought a house after 2009, starting in 2010. That was buyer's market in the housing market, 2010, 11, 12, 13. Prices started, of course, skyrocketing after that, especially after 2020. But ask anyone that's ever waited for a crash or waited for deflation, and they'll tell you it's a good thing as a buyer. Now, it's not a good thing for people that bought at the top of the market. It's also not a good thing for people that work in industries that have jobs because of high prices, like all the realtors that were working back in the housing bubble era, 2006, 7, 8, and 9. A lot of those realtors got out of the business in 2010 and beyond. And it's happening again, by the way, because the sales are so low in the housing market. But deflation and recessions can be good. They are good, ultimately. But they can be bad if you're in the wrong position. That's what I'm trying to say. So, but we do need that. We do need prices to come down. We need deflation. And some people say we're overdue for a recession, that we need a recession. And I've said here that a recession is also a correction. You've heard of a market correction, right? The market comes down, it's correcting. Something is priced too high, it should correct, right? When there's a bubble, like a housing bubble, it should deflate. It should implode at some point. But if you get never-ending stimulus, helicopter money, flooding the economy with money, easy money, all those things that we talk about here, prices will just continue to go up or remain elevated. They may not even go up more, but if they remain elevated, that's still bad, even though they'll say, oh, look, there's no inflation, everything's good. Prices remaining where they're at when prices are too high is also not a good thing here. So let's continue to move on before we hear from Miss Bartender here. Want to give you a couple other, what's the word I'm looking for here? A couple other opinions on the economy here. Is there a recession or not? We're going to hear from a broad spectrum of people here. I'm going to try to give you their names, excuse me, their screen names, so you can follow them if you want. All right. Also, some of you are probably laughing about the bartender. Don't laugh. She's going to make some very good points. I watched about one third of the video. The rest of it I haven't seen. It'll be my first time watching it too. But let's hear from this influencer here. Oh, it's Team E278 again. Okay, so the same guy that said prices are going to come down. Let's take a listen to this one. He says recession has likely begun.
U.S. economy is about to collapse. We just got groundbreaking data that shows the recession has likely already started. Now, we've been talking about the recession on my page. We've been talking about the inverted yield curves, the uninversion in October, but this new data shows it's here. If you look, we just broke a 14-year high in corporate bankruptcies.
All right, we talked about that here, folks. Real quick, though, back to what he said at the beginning, the yield curve. I used to talk about the yield curve, but it had uninverted several times and we didn't see a recession, even though it uninverted a few times over the past few years. So I stopped looking at that as an indicator. It's really more about the money. It's more about the stimulus, which he said too in another video. But let's go ahead and continue here. The corporate bankruptcies, we reported on that here. Record high 2024, 2025. We'll have to check the numbers. I think we're on pace to break 2024's record, though. But let's see what he says.
In December 2024, we have not seen this since the great financial crisis. In fact, if we look over the entire year of 2024, we have 694 corporate bankruptcies for that year alone. We have not seen numbers like this since back in the great financial crisis. There's a lot of canaries in the coal mine right now, and they're turning to more than just canaries. I understand that the stock market is at all-time highs, but it was also at all-time highs in 2007 and 2008 before everything popped. You can even compare credit card debt right now. We had the same number of delinquencies as we did back in 2008, but we're doing it on double the scale. You can look at repossessions right now. We're about to break the records of 2008. It's not just canaries anymore. The economy is about to collapse.
There you go. The economy is about to collapse. You heard it from him and others that are saying the same thing. But you have just as many people saying the opposite, saying that they're just going to flood the economy with more money and cause more inflation, believe it or not, with easy money, making it easier for people to borrow money to bid up prices even higher with the housing market, automobiles, you name it. They're going to try to keep it inflated and try to prevent deflation. That's what other people are saying as well. Also, real quick, people, before we move on, I just wanted to give you an update on the corporate bankruptcies because that last guy was just talking about it. 2024 was the most we had seen since the financial crisis. 2025, now that we're basically halfway, a little more than halfway through the year now, I thought it'd be a good time to give you an update on that. I just got the numbers right now. We're on pace to beat 2024's record for corporate bankruptcies. We're on pace at this point, halfway through the year, on pace to beat last year's record, which was the most since the financial crisis. So things are getting worse this year, worse than they were last year, and last year was the worst since the financial crisis. So that should tell you what's happening here with the economy. Yes, there's people still spending money, mostly borrowed money, and we're going to talk more about that here in just a couple minutes. But let's go ahead and get into our bartender here who's going to tell us what's happening with the economy. All right, I'm just going to play it back. She started off talking about how customers are acting, more people dancing than buying drinks, right? That's another, I think, indicator we should look at here. But listen to what she's saying.
Talk about different signs of a recession that I've noticed in the last year. The biggest and most noticeable one for me is that there's more dancers than customers. There's way more girls dancing than there is customers to supply us with, and the supply and demand, like the whole ratio is just thrown off right now.
More dancers than customers. In other words, more people just going to clubs just to dance and not buy drinks, right? So to go hang out, enjoy the environment, meet people, listen to the music, enjoy the music, but not buying as many drinks, and probably more people, probably more people sneaking drinks in with a little flask or something like that. Let's continue to hear what she's saying, though. By the way, it's Cody Rose is the screen name in case you want to go follow her, or at least check out a couple of her other videos. Kodi, two I's, Kodii Rose, right? Cody Rose. Continuing.
First sign that we're in a recession. I've noticed that a lot of people are either pre-gaming before they come to the club, or they're getting well drinks when they're at the club, a lot more than before. Which, if you know, you know. Okay, drinking is expensive, I get that, but it's just something I'm noticing. The amount of customers trying to barter with me as if this is like trade goods. I'm used to having
Customers bartering for drinks. She's probably getting less tips, right? She's probably not happy about what's going on here. Bartering, though, that's interesting. Let's continue.
struggling with money because people have been doing that since the beginning of time. But I have legit had so many people come in and be like, I have this pair of shoes, I have this bracelet, I have this necklace, like trying to barter.
You're at a club, you're trying to barter your shoes. You barter some shoes. You're bringing in your your wardrobe to try to barter a bracelet.
A dance out of me with an item. That right there tells me we are in a recession. There's been a major uptick in the amount of solo drinkers and people who are.
All right, real quick though, somebody in comments said, what can I get for an 85 Camry, Toyota Camry? So you're a bartender and you get offered vehicles for drinks. I think he's joking, hopefully.
Coming out to the club by themselves. I don't know if this is because there's not as many work trips happening, so people aren't going out with their colleagues, or if guys just aren't able to find friends that can also afford to go to the club with them, but we have seen so many solo people coming in. Last one,
More solo people, less people coming in with friends and parties and groups of people. How would that make an indicator of a recession, though? So basically what she's saying is, let me just play it back, is that people can't find friends that have money to go out and spend.
Friends that can also afford to go to the club with them, but
they can't find friends that can afford to go to the club. Pretty interesting.
I've seen so many solo people coming in. Last one, I would say that
actually makes sense. Back when I used to go do the bar scene, I used to go to a few clubs here and there. Before family life, of course. Since I've had a family, I haven't went, really. But I remember hearing from a couple people, oh, I can't afford it. I don't have the money. I'm cutting back this month, so I can't go out. And I was probably one of those people a few times, you know, telling my friends I didn't want to go out.
Every single dance that I sell, I'm selling at least 2 therapy sessions. What is a therapy session, you may ask? It's basically where somebody pays the price of a dance, but they just want to sit and...
Oh, okay. Okay. I didn't know that. I thought she was a bartender. She's a dancer. I did not know that. Okay. That's what she means by customers. I apologize. I thought she was a bartender. So she works at a club. Okay, I got it wrong. I told you I was going to react to this video. I didn't watch the full thing before presenting it to you. So it's a true reaction.
Talk to you. Life is hard. Therapy is expensive. Going to a club is much cheaper. I've noticed a lot of that. But these are just like quick little recession indicators that I've noticed at my club. If you have anything else that you've noticed at your club or in your area, please let me know because I'm very curious.
Wow.
Turns out that this is a real...
Did you guys hear that? So she's a dancer, but people... sometimes instead of actually wanting a dance, they would just want to talk and have a therapy session. And apparently what they paid her was cheaper than what they paid their therapist. All right, I'm sorry, folks. I didn't know this was going to head in this direction. I actually thought she was a bartender. Anyways, what do you guys think about what she talked about as far as what she sees at the club? Are there recession indicators? I think you can probably find some indicators in there that people's spending habits have changed. At least, I mean, if you look at corporate America is doing better than ever. I mean, Bezos just had a blowout wedding. Not sure if it was millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars for a wedding. The big corporate power players are doing better than ever, right? So if you're looking at the top for a recession, no, you're not going to see it because big corporate America has been taking more and more while paying people less. And yes, some people have gotten raises. We've got higher minimum wages here in California. Fast food workers, $20 an hour, but it's still not enough to keep up with the cost of living. And it's causing actually problems here. We've talked about that a few times here. But let's move on here. I got a couple more I want you guys to check out. Let's see what she has to say. Oh, need to turn the volume up. Apologize. She's talking about the social media economy.
I know a lot of people complain about the rise of like the influencer economy and how kids want to be YouTubers and influencers instead of firemen and politicians or whatever. But honestly, I feel like this was it was a natural, predictable outcome. I think we have moved the bar so much. Like, I think we have extracted everything we can from the classic American dream. Why would someone dream about going to school for 4 years, even going to trade school, whatever, so that you can work 40 to 50 to 60 hours a week, come home, watch maybe 2 hours of TV, and then go to bed and do it all over again?
Oh, I'm so glad she said that. We're going to give you her name in a minute here, but I'm so glad she said that. How many times have you felt, and I felt like this many times, how many times have you felt like you're just a hamster in a wheel, so to speak? You're going to work, you're coming home, you're maybe hanging out for a few hours, go to sleep, wake up and do it all over again. You feel like you're just working to pay bills, right? You're spending more time at work than you are doing the things that you enjoy. And in fact, if you subtract the time that you're sleeping out of your day and the time that you're commuting back and forth to work and then the time you're at work, you might actually spend more time working than you are actually spending time awake doing things that you actually like to do, right? So you're working, then you're out of work, and what are you doing out of work? A couple hours of TV entertainment, like she said. Maybe go out to a club, maybe see the girl that we saw in our last video, if you go to that type of club. And then, but at the end of the day, how many hours have you spent on doing things you like to do? Maybe it's a couple hours you're paying bills, right? Even when you're out of work, it's a lot of times doing things that you don't really want to do, paying all these bills, right? So let's continue to hear what she has to say. I'm glad she said that.
And we don't even have a guaranteed vacation time span here. Like, we don't have guaranteed vacation days in the US. Most other countries in the US do. And like, what's the appeal? So, like, yes, naturally, everybody is trying to cash in a lottery ticket on social media. Not everybody, but so many people are. Kids see this.
So many people want to be a social media influencer. People are tired of the 9-to-5 hustle. They're tired of working paycheck to paycheck or living paycheck to paycheck, working just to get up and do it all over again, just to work just to pay bills. People are tired of that. So people do want to cash in, and you see people making a lot of money on social media, and it's kind of like a lottery ticket. You want to at least put your ticket in or buy your ticket, and maybe you'll get lucky. People, I think, are feeling like that. They want to give it a try.
Why wouldn't they rather be an influencer or a YouTuber or a podcaster where they can have some autonomy? They can make their own money. They can stick by their morals or whatever.
Work your own hours, maybe.
Like, truly, I think we all forget that back in the olden days, when there was fiefs and serfs and lords, they had more days off. They had roughly 1/3 of the year off. Otherwise, they were concerned the peasants would riot.
I did read that at some point. I read that even back in those days, people had more time off because they didn't want people to uprise and get too upset about the amount of work that they were required to do.
And I feel like we have tightened the girth so much on the working class, on the middle class, anyone who works for someone in corporate America or even at like a blue collar job. I think it has just gotten tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter, and I think we're on the verge of snapping.
Yeah, corporate America is squeezing more work out of people, laying off people, replacing people with AI, but then the work that needs to be done by humans, from what I see, companies are putting more on the people that are still there. They're making people pick up the slack and pick up the work that they aren't having from a bigger work base, right? Continue.
Not to say, I think we would be lucky if all that we had was a rise of influencers and not like an actual system reboot.
Rise of social media economy is the symptom of a broken system, right? So if it's not a recession, it's certainly a broken system because it works very well for a certain few. It happens to be the people at the top it works very well for, but not so well for most people.
Might say, because honestly, all the symptoms are there and everyone's getting really pissed off. Why are we working so much and we get no vacation and we can't afford anything? People wanting to be influencers is a symptom of a bigger problem, and I don't blame people for looking for any way out they can.
There you go, folks. Let me give you her screen name, actually, so you can check her out, follow her if you feel like it. Let me try to read this one to you. Wow, some of these screen names. I thought Bo Boom Bear Bus was an interesting name. Some of these other people, Call Sign Pound Cake. That's her screen name. And maybe it's not her channel. Maybe it's somebody that uploaded it on their channel. But at least you'll find it. Then you can probably find, I think that's her channel. Call Sign Pound Cake. So there you go. What do you think about what she said and what some of the other people said? Our dancer earlier, what she said. The other guy that we saw 2 videos from saying there's going to be deflation, saying that we're in a recession and that things are about to pop or snap. Sounds like what he was saying here. But let's hear from one more person going through a mall here. Let's hear what she has to say. She says there was a recession. Check her out.
Indicators. I'm going to give you a live example of a recession indicator. I am in Phipps Plaza and it is 2:18 p.m. on a
Sorry, a little background noise.
Saturday in Atlanta, Georgia. So you would think that since this is our top tier elite mall, that it would be super packed in all the stores. Not so much. Let me show you.
Top tier elite mall. A place I usually would not go to. Let's check it out.
This is our new Hermes store, and there are people in the store. However, there typically is a line. So there's no line, and there aren't that many people.
No line, no people. Wait, how does she pronounce this?
Store and
sorry, I have to go back here.
not so much. Let me show you. This is our new Hermes store, and there are
Hermes. Okay, I would have pronounced it Hermes. So shows you how much I shop at high-end stores.
People in the store. However, there typically is a line. So if there's no line and there aren't that many people, then we'll call that a recession indicator. Here we go, the Louboutin store. There are, from what I can see, 2 people, and
What's it called? Louboutin? Louboutin. Okay, sorry. Folks, stores that I never go into. Obviously, looks like a female targeted store, but look at these bags. I mean, even if I was a high-end shopper, I wouldn't buy something like this. To me, high-end stuff always just looks weird. And maybe that's the thing. They want it to look so weird where it stands out, so people will notice it and they'll see that you're a baller. They'll see that you have money. I mean, is that what the high-end thing is about? To stand out like a sore thumb?
they are together in the entire Louboutin store. Yeah, again, 2:20 p.m. on a Saturday in Atlanta, Georgia.
Saturday at the mall, Atlanta, Georgia, high-end mall. Look at this.
Georgia. Our most popular mall, the Balmain store.
Now, I know some of you are going to say, well, everybody's buying it online. Everybody's shopping online.
And not a single person in the store. Not a single person in the store. Etro, not that popular, but also not a single soul in the store. Zimmerman.
This is Saturday, folks. How are malls staying open? I mean, we've seen some malls. I walked through a mall, last year and showed you, it was this mall here in Southern California. I showed you a mall with 15, I think it was 15 stores that were closed. We'll have to check it out again here, but back to this video.
And not a single person in the store.
One person was in there. It looks like they might have been an employee there.
Jimmy Choo. That girl just walked in, but before that, not a
What's that guy doing? Is he working there? Is he security?
single person in the store.
Guy looks like security, doesn't he? Security for one customer.
Walked in, but before that, not a single person in the store.
Or he was waiting for his girl to shop, maybe. Who knows?
Givenchy. I just walked by, there was nobody in the store, but once again, not a single person in the store.
Givenchy.
Alexander McQueen, my favorite.
Right.
in addition to Chanel.
All right, people, you get the point. The mall is dead on a Saturday. Downtown Atlanta. Are people just shopping online? Is everything fine? Or are we going to see everything hit the fan? And is it hitting the fan right now? It may be hitting the fan. We just can't hear it yet, right? Because the fan's maybe not going that fast or it's far away. What do you think about this down in the comments? Please let me know about these influencers, these people. Do you agree with any of them? Do you disagree? What's happening, folks? As always, thanks for being here. Keep stacking. Big love. Bye for now. Peace.